You have been explaining yourself your whole life. Why you made that decision, why you said that thing, why you feel the way you feel, why you need what you need. And no matter how clearly you explain, no matter how carefully you choose your words, some people still don't get it. Or worse, they get it, they just don't care. And yet, you try again. You find better words, you give more context, you go deeper into the explanation, hoping that this time, they will finally understand. Here is what nobody ever told you. The more you explain yourself to people who were never going to listen, the more power you hand them. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why, and you are never going to do it again. Welcome to the Human Files, where we decode why people think, act, and make the decisions they do. Let's get into it. Picture this. You make a decision. Maybe you say no to something. Maybe you set a boundary. Maybe you choose to do something differently than you have always done it. And immediately, someone in your life has a problem with it. So you explain. You tell them your reasoning. You share your feelings. You give them the full picture of why you did what you did, and they push back. So you explain more detail, more context, more vulnerability. You open up even further, hoping the right combination of words will finally land, and they still don't accept it. Maybe they argue with you. Maybe they guilt you. Maybe they go quiet in a way that makes you feel like you did something wrong. And now you are exhausted, frustrated, wondering why you can never seem to make people understand you no matter how hard you try. Here is the painful truth. The problem was never your explanation. The problem is that you are explaining yourself to someone who was never asking for an explanation. They were asking for control. And every time you explained, you gave it to them. Now let's dive deeper into the deeper truth. Part 1. Why you over-explain in the first place. Let's start at the very beginning. Why do you over-explain? Not because you are weak, not because you are insecure, but because of something deeply human called the need for social acceptance. From the moment you were born, your brain learned one critical rule. Being understood by the people around you equals safety. As a child, if the people around you understood your needs, those needs got met. If they didn't understand, you were left without. So your brain built a system. Explain more, be clearer, try harder to be understood. Because being understood is how you survive. That system served you when you were small, but you are not small anymore. And that same system, the one that once kept you safe, is now the thing that makes certain people feel like they have power over you. Because they have learned something about you. They have learned that if they push back, if they question you, if they simply look at you with disapproval, you will open up. You will justify yourself. You will hand them the very access they were looking for. Your need to be understood became their tool. Part 2. What over-explaining actually communicates. Here is something most people never realize. When you over-explain, you are not communicating your reasons. You are communicating your anxiety. You are showing the other person that their approval matters to you so much that you are willing to justify yourself to receive it. And here is how that lands in the mind of the person across from you. They read it as uncertainty. When someone is truly confident in a decision, they do not need to explain it at length. They state it calmly, clearly, once, and they are done. Think about the most grounded person you know, the person who always seems sure of themselves, the person whose decisions feel final, without any drama. Do they over-explain? No. They say what they mean what they say, and they do not spend 10 minutes convincing you that they are right. That quiet certainty, that refusal to over-justify, is what makes people respect them. Not because they're cold, not because they don't care, but because their behavior says clearly, I know what I decided. I do not need you to agree with it, and I am not going to argue for my own choices. That is what confidence communicates, and that is what over-explaining destroys. Part 3. The people who don't deserve your explanation. Now let's talk about something important. Not everyone who asks for an explanation deserves one. There is a difference between someone asking to understand you and someone asking to challenge you. Someone who genuinely wants to understand you listens when you speak. They ask questions that go deeper. They meet your words with curiosity. They make you feel heard, even if they do not fully agree. But someone who wants to challenge you does something very different. They ask why, but they already have an answer in mind. They want you to explain yourself so they can find the hole in your reasoning, so they can use your own words against you, so they can keep you talking until you say something they can push back on. Sound familiar? These people are not asking for understanding. They are asking for ammunition. And every time you explain, you are loading the gun for them. Here's a real example. You tell someone you cannot make it to an event. You have other plans. Simple, clear, final. But they push. Why not? What are you doing? Is it really that important? You always do this. And so you explain. I've been really tired lately. I have a lot going on. It's been a hard week. I just need some time to myself. And now they have options. Now they can say, you are always tired, or everyone has hard weeks, or you need to stop isolating yourself. You gave them the words. You handed them the conversation. What you should have said was the first thing, I cannot make it, full stop. That is a complete sentence. It does not need a paragraph attached to it. Part 4. The emotional pattern that keeps you trapped. Here is the emotional pattern that keeps so many good people stuck. It's called the approval loop. It works like this. Someone pushes back on something you did. You feel the discomfort of their disapproval. You explain yourself to relieve that discomfort. They push back again. You explain more. The discomfort grows. You go deeper into the justification. And instead of the explanation resolving things, it escalates them. Because here's what is actually happening. The discomfort you feel when someone disapproves of you is not a signal that you did something wrong. It's a signal that you care about their opinion. And those are two completely different things. You can do the exact right thing and still feel uncomfortable when someone disapproves of it. The discomfort is not evidence against your decision. It's just your nervous system reacting to social friction. And the moment you learn to sit with that discomfort without running to fill it with explanations, you become someone that is very difficult to manipulate. Because the people who use your need for approval against you only have power when you respond to the discomfort. When you stop responding, when you hold your position quietly and calmly, they have nothing to work with, and they move on every time.
So what do you actually do differently? First, learn the power of a short answer. You do not owe anyone a long explanation for the choices you make about your own life. I am not going to be able to make it. That does not work for me. I have decided to do it differently. These are complete sentences. They do not need footnotes. They do not need justification. They do not need your history attached to them. Practice saying what you mean and stopping there. Second, notice the difference between someone asking to understand you and someone asking to challenge you. Curiosity feels like interest. Challenge feels like pressure. When it feels like pressure, that is your signal. That is the moment to say less, not more. Third, and this is the most important thing I am going to say today, other people's discomfort with your decision is not your responsibility to fix. Let that sit for a moment. You are not responsible for managing how other people feel about your choices. You are responsible for making choices that are true to who you are. The right people, the ones who actually respect you, will not need you to justify yourself to them. They will trust you. They will give you the benefit of the doubt. They will accept your answer without turning it into a debate. And the people who push back every time, they are showing you exactly how much they respect your autonomy, which is not very much. And you cannot explain your way into the respect of someone who was never going to give it. Stop trying. Your decisions do not need their approval to be valid. They were valid the moment you made them. And that's the truth nobody taught you. If this made you see yourself differently, you're already ahead of most people. Subscribe, because next week goes deeper. I'll see you there.